I'm John Motter. I'm from Gennaro, Ohio, soybean farmer on the United Soybean Board, in an operation that was started 3 generations ago by my grandmother. Now, I could take my family back 13 generations. We've always been farmers, but in the neighborhood where I farm, we've been there for the last 3 generations. We're talking today about Ohio Lake soybeans, and why are we going to Ohio Lake soybeans and the importance of this new trait. We start with talking about trans fats and the labeling of trans fats back in 2006. At that time, we had 17 billion pounds of edible oils that we were creating out of soybeans. Since that time, our edible oil market has shrunk to 13 billion pounds. So it's very important for us at the United Soybean Board to recapture that 4 billion pounds of market share. And we can do that with a Ohio Lake soybean. The Ohio Lake soybean has a longer fry life. It creates more uses. We can use the Ohio Lake trait industrially. It's got very great lubricity properties. We can make several different kinds of motor oils, transmission oils out of the Ohio Lake soybeans. So the trait itself is very, very important for our market. The Ohio Lake trait was the first trait that was ever created with the consumer in mind. This trait is all about creating a better product for the end user. So when we talk about the Ohio Lake trait and the trans fat labeling, the whole idea of Ohio Lake is that trans fats are completely eliminated from the oils, from the diet of the American public. That's a big deal for us. This is a win-win, both for the grower and for the consumer and everyone up the food chain in the soybean industry. When we talk about this Ohio Lake trait and the involvement of the United Soybean Board in expanding the growing area, we're looking at trying to create 30% of the market, 30% of the growing area having Ohio Lake soybeans by 2023. That gives us enough of this value-added oil to win back the majority of that 4 billion pounds that we have lost since trans fat labeling. With the Ohio Lake trait, we are raising the demand for soybean oil. In raising that demand, what we project is that the entire soybean industry will realize an additional 66 cents on every bushel of beans. So this trait doesn't just help the grower that is in a region that grows the Ohio Lake beans, but it helps every grower. Everybody benefits from the increased demand for the edible oils. I'd like to talk a little bit here about the yield of Ohio Lake soybeans. Every grower likes to know what the yield is on any new product. And I can attest to the fact that we have yield parity when we look at a Ohio Lake bean. They will yield right with the best of the elite hybrids in their sister commodity programs. So when a grower worries about the yield of his crop, this is one of those products where we have tested and we have shown that this is a bean that will yield right with the best of the products out there. So in summary, when we talk about Ohio Lake beans and the United Soybean Board's involvement in growing and in expanding the acres of Ohio Lake, we're looking at a win-win situation. We're looking at increasing the demand for oil, therefore increasing the demand for soybeans. We're looking at a 66 cent price boost for all growers, and we're looking at a product that the end user we'll find to be more functional, in greater demand, certainly easier to find because we have so many acres of soybeans and the competitive oils have very few acres and generally are coming from someplace other than the United States. So we're looking at a product that we grow domestically to feed the population of the United States.